Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you might be. We're back with another
Yeah.
fun 425 show. Good morning, Christos.
Look at the fun in your voice. I love it. We're back with a fun story.
No, I'm tired. I'm tired this morning
Why? Why are you
because
tired?
okay, so we had this big, huge, ugly desk, right?
Okay. Yes.
Now, the people that used to live here,
Uh
they
huh.
left it, and or we bought it. Like we gave them like a couple $100 or something when
Okay.
we moved in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fine. I mean, whatever. Like it worked well enough.
Yep.
But we've been talking about
The office.
redoing the
Yes.
upstairs. So I have a place to sit that isn't in the basement in the dark all day.
Okay.
And um, so essentially, we need to get rid of this desk, and it's this huge, old, heavy, ugly thing with a hutch and on it's an L and all this sort of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyways, we put it up on the internet and we said, "Hey, this is free if you can come and get it."
Right. Yeah. The best way to
Because
do it.
because it weighs 9,000 pounds and whatever. Good morning, Hector, or afternoon, Hector HSC. Good afternoon, DRP 8472. Is that like 1748?
Trooper.
So
Trooper.
anyway,
His name is Trooper.
so,
I had to ask him. So it's apparently Trooper, but
ah,
I don't know how that you get it from that. But it
oh.
is Trooper. So hi, Trooper. Welcome
So
everyone.
anyway,
So yeah. So what did
so
you do with
last
the
night,
desk? Uh
so the
huh.
kids went to bed last night,
Okay.
and we had to take it apart.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my wife. So we took it apart. Good morning, San Diego, Rocket Man 2112.
Nice.
So we had to take it apart, and like I said, this thing's huge and enormous and bulky and whatever.
Yep.
And because a guy in our neighborhood who just moved here from Washington State, actually, he wanted it.
Whoa,
So he was
nice.
like, I'll be there at 7:30. Like 7:30,
7:30 p.m.
like no a.m.
Oh God.
So this
How's that?
morning we had
7:30
to
a.m.
get up and get the kids out of there so that they
Mm-hmm.
could come over and which they were super nice, and they got a bunch of kids.
Okay.
And I've got a bunch of kids. I was like,
Well,
well,
that
bring the kids over and we'll
that,
set them loose in the afternoon.
that explains why they
So,
had to get up at 7:30 a.m. or be there for 7:30 a.m. because they were up at 5, I guess, with the young kids.
well, the thing is, they both came. So I'm like, well, where are your kids? I'm like, who's watching your kids? I mean, I guess they're only five. They're like five doors down. I almost like it. We actually moved some of it with the kids' wagon.
Partially. Nice.
So we
We
took
have
the we drug it up. So
we have
morning
some new
nitro
faces.
paintball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nitro Paintball. That's a cool name.
yeah.
Daryl is here as well. We got Dave Key. I think it's Dev Key. Dev Key on the Maxwell Developer channel. Morning, everyone. We're thanks for the kind comments, Nitro Paintball. It was fun doing build. A lot of work there. We have Sean, obviously. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the sub, by the way. Really appreciate it. And it's been a while.
Yeah,
I think the
sorry,
last time that was
I
streamed.
missed. I uh, I don't know.
Friday?
Monday,
Was it last Friday?
last Friday. It's been a
Last
week.
Friday.
So, and if you haven't had a chance, you should definitely join Code with Sean's Tulsa.net user group. So I was going to go the other night, but I got busy with the kids, so I couldn't go. But
Kids.
kids, what can you do with them? Can't put them to work. Can't give them away.
Free labor, my friend. Just get them to do work around the house.
Yeah. I think my kids do enough as it is. I don't want to ask them to clean up because it
Oh,
usually just makes it worse. So, oh, Jeffrey Richter joined. Oh yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
There's a recording somewhere,
So
right? Let people know where your YouTube channel is so they can go and watch it on
yeah,
demand.
for real, that'd be
Yeah.
cool. So last week we worked on a secret rotator, and then we actually had a
Yes.
question come in over the
Mm-hmm.
week about using certificates. I don't think we're going to get to that today, sadly,
No.
because I have to go at noon anyway,
Mm-hmm.
which is in 51 minutes. But um, the short answer is when we're creating our CS or when we're creating our CA, um, we're going to create a CA next week, and we're going to use that to generate some certificates to use for signing. So yeah, so I think it'll be cool.
Avogadro is asking, are we not doing anything with VBA and Excel to authenticate? I don't think you need to use VBA anymore. Did not Excel have a toolkit which was all React based in JavaScript?
Well, there's one of them is like VBA is like for automating Excel, right?
No,
Well,
you can.
that's kind of a lie too. I mean, we had interop, like we had all the interop PIAs for like .NET or whatever, and then we had, and there's always been VBA for like scripting inside of Excel, but I think largely that's been, I don't want to say it's been deprecated because I don't think that's correct, but it's mostly been replaced by apps for Excel because they run in Excel proper, they run in Excel on the web, they run in Excel on your phone.
Exactly. Whereas VBA doesn't. By the way, if you kill VBA, then half of the public sector around the world is going to die.
Yeah, it's about
Everything's
right.
running on Excel and Access. Did I tell you the story that my wife started a new job at some point in the UK, and she comes to me like day 3 and says, "Hey, I've got this system, and I need to extend it. I need to add a new form or something." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds exciting," and said it's this Access thing, like MS Access. And that was not too long ago, maybe 2016 or something, 17. Yeah, 17. And I'm like, okay, let's look at that. So she brought a copy, an empty copy of that database, and she had it on a USB stick. I put the USB stick on my PC, and we opened this thing, and it is a mess. Like every table was a separate MS Access file. And then they were linking those files across, and they had this giant database of all these objects interacting with each other, and they had different forms all over the place. I'm like, I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that with the poll. And there was no validation or data cleansing or anything like that. So we rebuilt the whole thing from scratch to the point that eventually made it into a large system. But guess what? Once we build the Access thing, then a couple of weeks later, she comes back and says to me, well, people are having problem working with that. I was like, what is the problem? It's locking. Apparently, they didn't know that MS Access is a single thread, single user solution. So they were using it across the whole division to manage data. I was like, no, you can't do that. So you have to move it to a proper database. And then they paid. Check this out. How much would you pay to move an MS Access file into SQL? How much would you pay for it?
Depends on how important it is to my business.
Well, it's important. It is important. But you hire a consultant, and the consultant says, well, we can migrate the database to SQL.
How big is the Access file?
It wasn't giant. It had probably around 30 tables and a few forms. $1 million. Yeah, you're good. They paid $100,000 for somebody to go next in SQL to import the Access database.
Bold.
Anywhere between 0 and bankruptcy.
Tree fitty. That sounds about right, actually. I think that's what I would charge.
It's like insane, man. Access runs everything. Access runs everything.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, I mean, like the thing about Access is because there's so much business logic around the world locked up in things like Access.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Access is like it does a whole lot more than just hold the data. It's got forms and it's got UI and it's got all the stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that can be hard. So, that might be more time, money, effort to redo. So,
There's a good question from Rocketman, by the way. Off the top of your head, do you know which certificate template to choose for Azure AD Auth?
I think it's called Server Certificate, but I'm not sure. I was standing up a CA this morning so I could go figure it out, but I ran out of time.
Well, we'll do it, right? We'll do the CA and we'll do the secret rotator in the coming stream, so stay tuned.
Yeah, I think I think Server Certificate should be enough, but I'm not 100% sure. And if it's not, the SSL TLS ones definitely will have enough data in there, but we'll definitely have enough to do it. But I think Server Certificate should be enough. But we're gonna stand up a CA on Tuesday, and we'll continue down our secret rotator, including certificates, and we'll look at all that. I was looking today too. Like I integrated Key Vault with my with DigiCert.
Oh.
So yeah. Oh, and then let's see. Where taco? I'm guessing you become a taco like when there's a full moon, which there's supposed to be like a full moon tonight, right? So the redirect URL from your app insists on being auth login AAD callback. I can't, like, for whatever reason, my chat isn't working. So, Christos, can you highlight that chat message, please?
It's not working for me either. Restream just
Oh,
broke
really?
out. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, easy enough then. So,
yeah.
No, it's cool. So that auth login AAD callback, that path comes from Easy Auth, which is app service authentication. If you turn that on, if you enabled Easy Auth in app service and it registers an app, it's going to add that as the default. If your app doesn't send in a
no sound.
If your app what?
Why is there no sound? Sahil says no sound. Was
Oh.
Sahil, there must be a you problem. Nobody else has complained yet.
So diplomatic. Blame the victim. Blame the person who can't hear.
Can anyone confirm?
Anyway, if you created that, and if your app doesn't send, a redirect URL, then it'll use the default one, or it'll use the one that's there. So that's probably why. So I would check your app registration, and if you're not using app service authentication, then I would dump that redirect URL completely. And if you are using app service authentication, use that, but then also use the just also use the other one. My suspicion, based on the behavior, is that Easy Auth is turned on, and this is an app running in Azure App Service, and that is why it's forcing it over there.
If you're still having issues, email us on the 45 show or join Discord. I put the Discord link over there, and we can have a look at it, because it's very hard to do it over the air unless we really can replicate that.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the familiar faces, and thanks for everyone confirming that the sound is working. Sorry, Sahil. I didn't mean to be that abrasive on my comment. I was a bit direct. I know.
I mean, I was just giving you a hard time. You should hear what he says when we're not live. You should hear what he says to me privately.
You are spreading so much misinformation over that. Like the other day that you put that comment on Twitter that like I'm judging you vocally.
Makes me blush.
Yeah. Are you sure that's not the silent? It's me.
Usually, if I'm feeling too good about myself or too confident, I say, "Hey, Christos, you want to go join our standing meeting?" And then he makes sure to knock me down a few pegs.
I can put him down. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He gets too cocky.
Hey, what's up, CL Dubois?
What's up, CL Dubois?
Yeah.
Man, you need to come to stream, by the way. We're supposed to be doing this speed run on B2C. Remember?
Yeah, we need to do a B2C speed run. And to see if we can do it faster than Auth Zero. Was that the one you did it with before? Was it Octa or Auth Zero that CL Dubois did his?
I think he did Auth Zero. Let us know, CL Dubois.
Yeah.
And by the way, he already forgot. I think his memory is like
he's already forgotten. It was a speed run it was a stream speed run. We were so excited to plan it that we completely forgot about planning it. So
yeah, we'll do it.
All right.
And what do you mean? Happy to see you on screen again. We've been on screen all week with Build, and you missed our.
Just not this screen.
Just not this screen, exactly. We were not allowed to stream actually on multiple channels. It had to be on the official channel.
We asked them.
Speedrun.
We asked them if we're like, can we? I came this close to co-streaming our stuff at Build, but I didn't want somebody to get upset. We probably would have gotten copyright struck, and we'd be gone forever. So
that's the one thing, and then the second thing is that Microsoft was very adamant about streaming on other channels. Even the Hello World that usually streams on the Microsoft Developer channel on Twitch, we're not allowed to do that. So I think it has to do something with copyright or permissions. So no streaming on Twitch for any of the Build events. By the way, talking about Build, there were some really awesome announcements. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, let's go look at what you got, Christos.
Yes. So let's start with the announcements. Oh, the chat started working again on Restream? So you can
No, it was
highlight
just a
messages
caption.
now?
It was just a caption.
Ah, okay. So Book of News. If you want to look at all the announcements, because there's been a ton of blogs, has been an insane amount of information that came out. If you search for Book of News Build 2021, then you can find all the news here. And then they're broken down into different categories based on the service and based on the technology. And they will link to the appropriate announcements.
I want to know what everybody else's favorite announcement was from Build.
Can I say which one was mine?
Well, you can for sure. You should definitely start. I want to know what everybody. I want to know what everything. Was that even a Build announcement, or did it just happen to happen in the same week?
It was a Build announcement. The Quake
okay.
mode. The Quake mode was part of the 25th of May announcements, so it is part of Build. Dude, this is the best thing ever. I can invoke the command line from anywhere, and in fact, as you change screen, it actually takes the Quake mode with you, so multiple screens work. It is amazing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I started using that. I started using it myself. I guess if you were to combine that with automatic startup, because you can have terminal start at login. If you started it up minimized, then you'd always have Windows tilde.
Yeah, it's Windows tilde.
To make it come
it's
up.
Windows tick. It's Windows tick, isn't it?
Well, there's a tick. I don't know what kind of keyboard you use since you speak like 17 languages.
Well, wait a minute. If you don't press Shift, then it's Windows tick, as you can see on my browser. Then if you press Shift, then you get a tilde. So it's
Is it a tilde or a tilde?
Tilde. Or
Tilde with an at the end? How do you pronounce tilde?
I think it's tilde. Rocketman says, EF catching up to Dapper. No, EF is faster than Dapper on EF6 and C#10.
It is tilde.
No, it's tilde. It's faster on .NET 6 with C#10, and they surpass the performance of Dapper. So if people are excited about ORMs, then this was a great announcement.
So apparently Bolt is taking all of us out with his
Matilda.
with his dad
jokes this morning. So many dad jokes this morning.
You know, somebody hit me with a dad joke this morning, and I mean, I couldn't get out of bed because I woke up and I was looking at my phone, and somebody hit me with one of these. And
yes, internal email, and then it was like.
I thought, you know, I don't even know if I want to get up today. It just left me. So Rocket Man says tilde like Swanson. Wait a minute, yes. Swanson.
It was there.
Tilda Swanson. Yeah. What we need is a meme of Tilda Swanson with just the tilde on her face.
Yes.
She should do her eyebrows like a tilde. That'd be kind of cool.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Back to your
Build stuff. So Book of News. This is the fastest way to access things like MS Identity AppSync. I didn't know we announced that. Well, we announced quite a few things, but there you can jump straight away, and then they link to the blog post. So from there, it takes you directly to will it work? I used to do this, by the way, and it was such a pain because you had to organize and make sure that everything is working before it goes live. Thanks, Phil Snabble, for being there for us. I can see you on the Microsoft Developer channel. So take a look at the Book of News, find what you want. Now, if you want to go and look at all the videos, if you want to catch up on the stuff on demand, the best way to find them is docs.microsoft.com/events. And this is where we put all the videos from the latest events. As you can see, it's fairly new, so we moved everything from Channel 9 to here. Again, this will be populated as we go because right now not all the videos have made it there. Thank you for the link, Bolt. I don't know why I didn't paste it there. I'll do the same for the videos. Ta-ta-da, ta-ta-da. There.
Yes, we did mean Tilda Swinton. Swinton, that's it. Thank you, Sean.
Oh, it wasn't Swanson, it was Swinton?
Swinton. Tilda Swinton. Yeah.
And now, JP, you haven't told us what was your favorite bit. Please don't say VenHub's Premium again. There were so many announcements, honestly.
You put me on the spot, and it was Tuesday, and like Build had just kind of started, and I was like, wow.
Okay.
So the Azure Arc enhancements, I think are kind of cool.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a little apprehensive because I'm like, I gotta run Kubernetes to do this. Like, if I'm going to run Kubernetes, why don't I just run paths and skip the whole thing? Like,
Yes.
I mean, I guess if you've got you need to run on prem or you got to run in some special data center, totally understand that part. But I think the coolest part about it is what is to come from that. So, okay, cool. So there's laying the infrastructure to be able to run PaaS services wherever. I think
Yep.
is a super super cool thing, and I think
Yes.
it's only a matter of time before those get more and more and more advanced, and that is an interesting future. I think it's I'm probably more excited potential about the potential there. Things I'm actually excited about that I can use today. Um, Selfishly, I'm excited about the new Teams APIs for meetings because I think my word quota for meetings app will
It's
become a
coming.
reality now.
It's coming. We're going to build it and we're going to run it on all our meetings.
Yeah, because you can get raw audio feeds, and so we take that, we put it through Azure, like text to speech, and then give everybody a counter that shows that. And there's the silly side of it of okay, you've hit your word quota, thus you're muted, or you're kicked out of booted out of the meeting. Like I think that'll be a blast. But there's also
Yep.
the other side, which is imagine if you could look over time to see
People's behavior changing.
are you taking over meetings? Like, are you talking too much in meetings? Are they, like, are the meetings that you schedule, are you talking the most? Or are you talking the most in meetings that you're invited to? Like, and you can also look at like how can someone participate? Like, is everyone who's in a meeting participating, like, having an opportunity to participate? Or is someone, or is a small group of people always dominating meetings? And obviously there's a lot of context there, but I think that it's one of those things that starts with a silly idea and turns into something that might be pretty useful. You know what I mean? So
You
I
know
don't know.
what?
I think it'd
Yeah.
be kind of fun.
I think the analytics will be extremely interesting to see once that gets rolled out, even in our meetings, because we know that I dominate the meetings with talking too much. So
Yeah,
I'll be looking at my quota.
sometimes when Christos wants to just remind us that, who the alpha dog is in all the meetings, he just stands there holding these weights. And you know that he's just going to, like, that at any point, he's just going to boot you out of the meeting.
15 pound weights. Yeah, that's all I can afford. We have a question from Varun on the Microsoft Developer channel. Hey, Varun, thanks for joining us. There are no announced events other than the fact that we know that Ignite in the fall is coming. That would be the biggest first-party events. I don't know if you guys noticed, but in general, Microsoft has cut down on the first-party events. We did, though, announce the .NET Conf that is coming in November, and that's when we're going to be officially releasing .NET 6 and C# 10. So that is definitely an event that you want to go and register. I don't know if we announced the subscription, the event date, .NET Conf 2021. Let's see. Do we have the page up? It might be up. Oh, look at that. We already have a page. No, that's not the right one. Oh, that's not ours. That's why.
No, say it doesn't look like the normal one.
Oh my.
Isn't the other one? Isn't the other one .NET Conf?
It is .NET Conf, but I'm surprised that they were able to hijack the name there, right?
I wonder if I can go buy .NET.dev right now.
No, it's taken. I was in
What?
marketing when that happened.
Lame.
Oh, look at that.
They're not even
Your
using
next
it.
Tech conference, conf.tech.net. I did not know that. Yeah.
There.
Will we get union types in C# 10? I don't think they talked about union types in C# 10. Have you heard anything about that? I saw the event with Mudge Torgerson and Scott Hunter. There was nothing talked about C# 10. Remember, C# 10 is not ratified yet, so there are still changes in the API. But haven't heard anything.
I seem to remember. I heard somebody talking about this, but I don't remember. I don't remember where. So I don't. I haven't heard. I haven't heard anything officially. I'm looking on the. I'm looking at the issues for. Looking at issues,
Okay.
and let's Let's see. Um,
Yeah, so we announced the date, but we haven't announced the page is not open yet. There might be another focus event in the summer on .NET Conf because we do these quarterly things that we focus in one technology. You might find something there, and if there is one, we'll definitely work with the team to be included. Maui was exciting. I saw Blazor running everywhere with the Maui bindings, so you could run Blazor WebAssembly in a desktop app using the Xamarin extension. Although that brings so many technologies in there that I don't know what's going to fail and what's going to work.
Now there is somebody who's been working to take Blazor Wasm into Electron, but to instead of shipping a full Chrome embedded in Electron the way it does now, it uses some of the built-in OS stuff in Windows, and they got the size down to like single-digit megs, and it was stupid fast. So I'm gonna go find it because it was really really cool to think. Because I think like yeah, doing Blazor on the desktop would be really cool, especially if you can take it wherever.
Yes.
Like you get the ubiquity of Electron without all of the weight,
Mesh
I
of
guess,
Electron.
of Electron.
There is a topic that I want to bring up about .NET. Top level global usings. How do you feel about that, JP?
I think it would make me more productive when I'm writing the code, and I think that the next person to come and read it will be less productive while they're trying to find the using that's impacting the file. I mean, I don't have a lot of
Collaboration on large
you know
projects,
what'd be
right?
cool would be like a VS Code extension that virtually shows you the usings that are there. So even though you only have them in a single file, it shows you which ones are there because I don't hit that many. I don't hit that many like namespace collisions where I have to like alias usings, but
Yes.
the few times it's happened, it's usually been because things have been conflicting and I've pulled my hair out trying to figure out where it is. And so I'm kind of like, I think especially if I'm putting together like something that is just quick and dirty for me, like a tool or something.
It will work. Yeah.
But I think if you're sharing code with other people, I just think it has too much. Like I should be able to read that file. I should be able to look at my CS file and know what is there. Like that file should be relatively self-contained. I mean, sure, it's going to reference other stuff and other assemblies. I get that, but I know exactly what assemblies are in there and what assemblies are referenced and what projects are referenced from being in that file.
Yep.
And I think I think you'll end up with something that you can use a global using. I mean, now there might be some super creative stuff people can do with it too, which is you've got some sort of global using file, and that global using can actually change behavior, almost like a poor man's dependency injection. So like environment one has one set of global usings that point to one set of things, and environment two has a different set of global usings, and you swap those files out depending on environment, which is kind of cool. See ya, CL Dubois.
Yeah, see you later, man. Enjoy your
I don't know. I mean, I think it's cool. I think we could definitely do a show on like antics with using what things you shouldn't do with global usings.
I'm trying to think that like a smaller project would be fine, but go back to the days where we had like a 50 project solution or a 25 project solution with a ton of dependencies, and they bring their own dependencies, and you start having weird collisions. I don't know how global usings will help there. With obviously it will be project based, but I think that's going to be a challenge for everyone to. I don't know how that's going to work on larger projects. I've done it with TypeScript before, using global references with TypeScript, and man, that was a nightmare to manage, especially on a larger project. So I will have to wait and see. We have to wait.
I don't know. I mean, it might be one of those things too that it's there, and we'll see how people use it too. Like it'll be interesting to see how people adopt it, or if they do, and if they do, how do they do it?
Yep.
And find patterns that that we aren't thinking of. I have a question for you.
Yeah. Shoot.
So most of us have been working from home or from somewhere for the better of what, 16, 17 months now.
17 months now, yeah.
We've been through 2 virtual builds and a virtual Ignite.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about in-person events going forward? Or conversely, what do you think about virtual events? Like, what do you think is going to be the default?
You know what? I think we're going to go into a hybrid model. I would love to see a hybrid model. I would love to see a case where we can have speakers coming into the conference if they want to, but I want to also see those sessions live at the same time, like streamed live while people are speaking, because not everyone can afford to fly around the world. Not everyone wants to fly around the world, and you also get more talents. You get some fantastic speakers that can afford to fly to Japan to speak to 200 people, but you as a program organizer, you can afford to get them there. But it's a challenge. I would like to see hybrid, to be honest.
Hybrid's interesting because hybrid is essentially an acknowledgement of the fact that nobody goes to conferences for sessions, right? People go to conferences to meet their friends, to meet people they've worked with, to meet new people, to talk to presenters, to interact with other folks. And in some cases, like I know for me when we were still going, like in some ways, it's a great way to focus.
Yes.
Because when you're at home, you got family and normal work obligations and everything else. And when you're like physically gone, of course, it's a little bit different. And I think that's the thing, because you couldn't say to somebody, well, it's $22.95 for you to go to Build for a week.
Yes.
Or you can watch the whole thing at home for free.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, how do you balance the two? You know, how do you? Because okay, so all the sessions will be available. I think the thing that feels like is maybe kind of missing a little bit, or thing that we haven't figured out as like conference organizers, is how do you give people that? Yeah, how do you give people those impromptu connections that we used to make? Like, how do we get that to people?
I have to say, my friend,
who can't come.
After 17 months of doing virtual events, I can tell you that nobody has nailed the virtual water cooler thing. I've been to many events that use different platforms, and none of them were able to do what you say. None of them were able to actually get the interaction of people. And that's not good. I wanted this one.
It's definitely not good.
We need to stop sharing my screen. That's why. Okay, let me stop sharing my screen. So what I'm saying is that I've used like 5 different platform tools, the Slack and everything, and everyone was invited. The virtual thing definitely suffers from lack of interaction. And that's the only thing that I'm missing from conferences, the fact I can grab a speaker after the session and talk to them, the fact I can make friends, the fact that I can meet other people with common interests and then exchange ideas. And this is definitely a major element of events that we don't have. By the way,
Fuel says, I prefer virtual, can't be bothered to go. And he says he talks to speakers on Twitch, which I guess is true.
That is true, but not all speakers are on Twitch. And to be honest, I used to find conferences draining. I don't know how many you've done, JP, but I've done probably about 150, 170 conferences in the last few years flying around the world. It's totally draining throughout the day. It's super rewarding, but at the same time, like, it's tiring. Whereas we can do it from the comfort of our office or house, and it's easy. So pros and cons, right?
Yeah. I mean, like that's what Avogadro says too. Is like hybrid's great. Virtual does need to work with to figure out the breathing time for connecting with other people. And I think that's the thing. Like when we would even have our internal stuff that we'd go to. I mean, I'd go to enough sessions to not raise any red flags, like of why did this person go to any? But it was like seeing people on your team who work somewhere else, like who work far away.
Yeah.
Meeting people you've worked with who you haven't yet like met physically or met in person, and just being able to meet, hang out and meet people. I think that's the thing that we lack. So
get Kathleen Dollard a Twitch streaming desktop now, please, so she can stream desktop. Well, I don't know if Kathleen does streams, to be honest, and she's managing the whole of the VB.net stuff, so she's super busy. But having Kathleen coming over would be freaking awesome. to at least do a stream. Although, why do you need a streaming desk? You just need a camera and a good camera and some lighting, and you're good to go, right?
Apparently, my lighting isn't very good. My face looks dark today.
You
That could just be how I'm feeling. It's my heart. My heart is dark. I don't want to look like a deer in the headlights all day.
Rocket Man, this t-shirt is for you, man. Check this out.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure what you're doing.
I said t-shirt.
See, this is what he does to us when he wants to assert dominance in meetings.
It's like, wah!
I agree with you, Fuel.
Yes.
I agree with you, Fuel. I think we've seen more people streaming on Twitch. I think a lot of people are still kind of new to it, not sure what to do. I think we try to bring folks on from other teams who maybe don't have the time to plan shows, because fortunately for us, maybe unfortunately or fortunately for you, depending on which side of the fence you fall onto, that we are given time to actually come and do Twitch and to build content for Twitch and to work on things and talk to folks and build community. And so because it's part of our job, we have the time to do it. And a lot of the people who come on, they've got a real job they have to do. And so I think that's kind of the big difference. But there's always the customer connection that just you can't really replace. Like, no amount of me telling people how you are doing can replace somebody coming and actually having you tell them how they're doing. I mean, we can certainly share the messages, and we do all the time, but there's really no replacement for direct, hey, you're the person who built this and I'm the person who's trying to use it kind of things. And I think that's where it's tough. It's a hard problem to solve, but I think you'll see more people trying to figure that out over the next year.
We will definitely be working with our division to get more PMs on the stream to talk about the exciting stuff. Talking about our division, there were a few announcements over build that we haven't covered yet, right?
All right.
Conditional access, Auth Context, which we should play around, and that is to use conditional access to ask for elevated behavior or elevated authentication, or drive the behavior of your app using an auth context. And now .NET supports it, so msal.net already supports that out of the box, which is great. I haven't had enough time to play around with it. I started doing it and then I stopped halfway through, so definitely something we need to look at. There was a comment earlier on about verified credentials. JP, we haven't done anything with verified credentials.
I know. We will.
Yeah.
It's in the queue. It's in the queue. I think there are really some neat applications for it that we've seen, like that our teams have told us about and stuff like that. I just think it's not necessarily broadly applicable yet. I mean, granted, some of that is self-serving, right? The more people talk about it, the more people get interested in it, and the more people decide that they want to make it broadly applicable. So, but it's definitely in the queue. It's just something we need to get set up. Auth Context is cool. It's one of the things I'm really curious to see with it, because it feels a little of almost like the opposite of what we do in B2C today, which is in B2C, you know that you need to go do something, and then you send a user over to go MFA. I think the thing I'm most curious about is whether or not we end up with a claim that tells us that a user is MFA'd, because in AADV1 we had that, in AADV2 we do not. And so when you're doing things like integrating B2C and Azure AD, users could occasionally double MFA, which is a real pain. And so knowing that a user had MFA'd on their way in means that your app could then make the decision around what you want to do. So I think that's something that we should really mess around with the new auth context to see, can we fix some of the B2C UX problems we've had with double MFA with an auth context. So
you think that would be a challenge for setting it up and working? I mean, I looked at the blog post. It doesn't seem to be extremely straightforward. So there's definitely some back and forth, and you need to understand how to set it up and how it works. The example over here is actually doing it for, it's blocking access, or it requires elevation of privilege for downloading files. which was okay. And then there was another sample that was using Graph, but I wanted to do it for my own APIs and drive that behavior. So definitely something that we'll be looking over the next couple of days to see how you can achieve that. The annoying bit about conditional access is that you need to turn off all the security defaults for your tenant. So,
well, you have to have, you got to have premium for CA2.
True.
You have to pay, essentially.
Yes.
But I think the big difference is going to be, some of this is related to continuous access evaluation too, which is this whole new concept of like claims challenges, where there's a little bit more of this bidirectionality between your app and the STS.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool in that it gives us a lot more flexibility. Like step up MFA is cool because it's like, oh, you're going to transfer 10 grand. Well, if you're doing more than 10 grand, then we need to, ask you to do whatever. So I think that part's cool. It'll be how flexible is it for us in terms of invoking one on our own to say, I am now in a case where a user has done X or needs to do X. Can you then validate that they have or have not? And if they have, great, tell me. And if they have not, then don't tell me and have them go and do it. And then tell me that they've done it. Right. And that part, I think, will be pretty straightforward. The hard part will be how do we express that in things like custom policy for B2C so that we don't double MFA users? Or how do we get those two together so that we don't double MFA? So,
but
I don't know.
For B2C,
cool.
For B2C, do we have conditional access and Auth Context supported, or is it only AD?
Well, conditional access is only supported, Auth Context is only in Azure AD.
Yep.
Conditional access is in B2C now, but not with the same breadth of rules. Yeah. Just partially by virtue of how different the two platforms really are. So, but if it's a matter of I need claim A to be here, then maybe we can sort of force it to do that. Then I think that's a good start. So,
okay,
good start on the way in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else? What else was announced? Anything? What were your favorite things that you saw?
My favorite things. I like all the Cosmos stuff, to be honest. I know it's weird because I have not really done Cosmos in Anger.
Anger?
Well, as in, I haven't really used it in production, like for very large systems.
I've just never heard anybody refer to it as in Anger.
I haven't used it extensively. How about that? Yeah? Does that work?
No, I've just never heard the term in anger. I've heard the term in anger, like I'm doing things in anger. But I've never heard that as in the way that.
Maybe I've been using it the wrong way. No. So what I meant is I haven't really used Cosmos for very large solutions or giant implementations that customers will usually come across. Most of the time has been either to solve smaller problems or interact with Azure functions. So coming from that, I found that the GA announcements for Cosmos the new announcements for Cosmos were super exciting. The first one, which I really liked, was the ability to run in Linux and Mac OS using a container. You get a full emulator locally running on your machine. Now, stupidly, I tried to use Azure Identity to authenticate to that. I was like, it's not working. There must be a bug. But
so wait a minute. Was the announcement that there's now an emulator for it that runs anywhere? Okay, but it's not. You're not going to run it. You can't run it locally.
No, you can run.
You can't run production Cosmos locally.
No. It scales up to 11 nodes, I think, by default. And I expect
somebody's definitely going to try to run that locally.
Well, it runs. I have a demo running on my MacBook, so
yeah, that's what I mean. Running. Like if you can run it, if you can run a Cosmos, and I use the default Cosmos key.
Yeah, it does. So the only authentication is via Cosmos key. But I think the biggest problem that most people have found is the fact that you need to have a local host self-signed certificate that Cosmos uses, and that causes a lot of problems, especially if you want to run container to container. You need to add the certificate every time you run the the emulator, you need to configure and approve the certificate and run it into your certificate authority local certificate, keychain or whatever you're using. So I think that's a little
That
bit of
doesn't
a
seem.
yeah.
That doesn't seem right. Something's not right there. That doesn't
Well,
seem like.
it's still in preview, so I think they're working the kinks on how to make it more straightforward.
Yeah. No, I
But
wouldn't
it's
say
working.
you
It's
did
working.
anything wrong. I'm saying like, surely that can't be. That can't be the ongoing way to do it, right?
Well, especially for Node, for example, which has its own local CA authority for, especially when you run into a container, and there's a conflict between the Node certificate location and the Cosmos. The only way to run Node with the emulator is to disable SSL or TLS errors, because you cannot install the certificate in the container. So a lot of people have been talking to the Cosmos team to fix the experience. But remember, it's only been announced.
So use it as an emulator for local dev, and don't
Yep.
try to run it. Don't try to run it locally. I mean, don't try to run it. Don't try to run your app in production locally with the Cosmos.
No, you don't. And in fact, the fact that it doesn't support any other authentication other than local key or key means that
I mean, if it's all running locally, what does it matter?
it doesn't matter. But if you're writing the code to authenticate and talking to Cosmos, especially from going from dev to production, then you need to add some custom logic there to say, well, if I'm running in dev against an emulator, then it needs to do X to authenticate. But if I'm running in production, I want to be using something like Mass Identity or something else.
Here's what we're going to do. So sometime in the next couple of weeks, we are going to see what collection of proxy containers we can put in front of your Cosmos emulator container so that we can use it in production.
Do you think proxy,
Why
or
not?
should we do something like, I don't know, write a little bit of business logic to say if you're running locally, use Key Vault and go and pull the key, but if you're running in production, use MSI.
So why would you pull a key from Key Vault to run locally? Because isn't it the same? The emulator uses the same key for everybody. Like it's like a global key, right?
That's a good question. Might be.
Like the one that you can download for Windows today.
Yep. Use the same key for everything?
It's a static global key. Like I checked it in before into GitHub and got notified that cred scan hit me, but it's like no. It's the key. The key is literally in the docs. Like it's a static key. Like you can go pull it. So if it's the same one, then you wouldn't need Key Vault for that anyway. Problem solved.
Fuel Snabble always disables SSL TSL. TLS. That's perfect. Please don't do that. Please don't do that in production. I'm just kidding. But it sometimes works around issues. So that was the One Cosmos announcement. The free developer tier has also gone up to 1,000 RUs and 25 gig of space. So if you are using developer for larger workloads, now that is supported. And finally, what was the other one? Yes, the biggest one, RBAC support for Cosmos. I think we GA that. Therefore, you can use managed identities and RBAC to secure access to your Cosmos, which is extremely exciting. And we have a blog post about that.
Now, is that only SQL API right now?
Yes, it is. And the same for the container.
Oh, so the container's only SQL API too?
Yes.
So Mongo, Cassandra, Gremlin, all those
not supported yet.
Not supported.
Not supported yet. So limited capabilities, but they're coming. The team is working extremely fast on fixing
that's
these
cool.
things.
Because I know we had a couple questions about Azure AD with graph databases. Sahil, actually, yeah, he mentioned using the Gremlin, the Graph API of Cosmos, and those are not yet supported with RBAC. So
it's coming, our friends. Oh, by the way, for those ones that had the chance to actually see us messing about live on stream on Hello World or our workshop, which we will be doing beginning of June. We don't have the slide available, do we, JP? Do you remember the URL for that? It was
June 7th. Gruff TNT says, I use port 8081. It's hacker bulletproof. That's right.
How did
8081's too close. Use like 58639 or whatever.
Yes, very obscure. Make it obscure.
Yeah, the security through obscurity.
Yes.
That way when somebody's running a port scan, it'll take them an extra like 15 seconds to find that, which would give you time to shut your service down before they come
Go
and
and
get
patch
you.
it. Yeah, go and patch it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, starting June 7th, which is a Monday, June 7th through July 12th, and skipping July 5th because that's a holiday. We will do
The full workshop.
we're gonna do the whole the whole workshop, the identity learning path, the identity developer learn path. We'll do that. It was similar to the one that we did a few months ago.
Yep.
We're gonna do it again. It's gonna be Monday evenings, evenings Eastern US. I guess I should be more specific. I think it's what time, Christos? Like
4? I can't remember.
4 Pacific.
No,
I don't remember. We'll have to go look at the
6
time.
to 9 for you or 6 to 8 for you, so maybe 3. Hey, we will provide the details. We're scarce on the details right now because we're still working, but we'll provide you the URL if you want to register. We will add our usual color and commentary and have fun while we do this.
Yeah.
But
so
the other thing I want to say
fun.
is that all the samples that we did, including the Hello World automation for going from dev to production with the very bad admin, aka JP, and the naughty developer, aka the Hammer Christos, will be available on our GitHub repo. So all the samples are there, and there's a blog post that we will be updating with all the links. But if you want to go and grab the code, especially where's the one that we did for? Where's the Hello World one, right?
Hello World Web. Yep, that's the one that's got the script in it.
Where's
very
the
first
branch?
one. Very first one.
The very first
branch.
This one.
Ain't nobody got time for branches.
I can't believe that you didn't do a branch. You just went and committed straight to main. I love it.
Hey man, it's called YOLO Dev. But so this has the GitHub action, which is a really straightforward one. The only additional step. This is the same one that you get when you set up CI from an app service. It has one extra thing at the bottom, which is a CLI script file. And then if we go look at the CLI script file, which is available in the repo itself, and it's cool because it's in the repo, so we can version it here. Yeah. This is everything it takes to create an app registration and do admin consent and update your app service. So your Azure app service config settings, you'll notice we delete client ID and client secret, and we add in client ID and client secret with the new ones that get generated. So it's cool because if you're a developer and you are using a dev tenant, which is of course something that we always suggest that folks do, is to use an Azure AD developer directory or developer tenant when they're testing things out, which of course you can also get a free one. Here's the link. We'll put up here.
Oh, you beat me to that. Damn it. How can you speak and do it at the same time?
Well, because I just had the list of them here, but of course we tell everybody to go get a free Azure AD developer directory. Yes. And in our scenario, Christos was working in his developer directory, and I was this big mean admin who doesn't give him any production access, and so all he can do is check in. And so by checking in his code, the pipeline runs, and then we handle all of the Azure AD configuration in our production directory. All happens from this script and from a service principal, rather than a user having to go do any of that.
So explain a little bit to me. I know we have like 2 minutes left, but we need to have a service principal that is configured for doing this deployment, right? So the service principal needs to be. So
we need we need one of two things. We either need a service principal that has application read-write access, or we can use managed identity with a self-hosted with a self-hosted GitHub runner.
Okay.
In both cases, we have a service principal, and so in both cases, we can give our service principal the correct permissions to do this.
Yeah. So it's in the settings. If you go under, was it environments or secrets, right? In secrets, I suspect you have your service principal, Azure credentials here.
Yeah, so Azure credentials, that's my service principal. The app service publish profile is what app service sets up. So when you connect app service to a repo, it will auto configure all of the CI for it, which is really cool.
I just made one around. So you publish first and then you link to GitHub.
Yeah.
Nice.
But, well, the thing is, you go out and look, and there are 48 different ways to do app service publishing. I think I may have done all 48 of them at this point. If you look at my repos over time, because I'm like, oh, this looks like the one I should use.
Yeah.
And so for this one, I thought, well, let's see what the app service team says the best way to do this is.
Okay.
And so I used theirs, and so they use a publish profile, which is essentially a cred file. And then the Azure credentials in there are the ones that are used by the workflow for calling CLI commands. So that's the other thing that's kind of cool too, is that you don't actually need Azure AD to do a publish if you're using publish profile. But
Nice.
since we are updating those app service settings, that service principal needs to be contributor on the app service as well.
So you can change those permissions. I think a blog post is warranted to cover this one. And we'll do one for the .interactive stuff that we showcased at Build as well. So I think it's time now. Thanks everyone for joining us. Before we go, I would urge everyone to jump onto Jeff Fritz's session today. He's doing a full day Build wrap up. And I'll be there later as well to talk about identity and security with
Should we just raid?
Yes, let's raid now.
C# Fritz. So, hey everybody, thanks for coming to hang out. We'll be back on Tuesday. We're going to look at building a CA, like a certificate authority, and then we're going to be doing. We'll keep on working on our secret rotator. Be sure to join Discord if you have any questions, comments, concerns, personal attacks, whatever, and we will. And we will try to help as much as we can. Come out and hang out, though. Got a lot of folks out there. Just come and hang and have a good time. So let's go over and see what. Let's go see what Mr. Fritz is doing. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Catch you later, friends.
Bye.